What is color theory and why do we need to know that in makeup? So color theory basically shows you the relationship between the colors. So when we're talking about makeup, we really need to understand how the skin tones work, which colors make you look good. So all of this is explained through the color theory. So let's just start with the basics so you understand what color theory actually is. So here's some basic fundamentals of breaking down the color wheel and understanding how they're categorized. You have probably heard about primary colors before. These colors are blue, red, and yellow. Primary colors are colors that cannot be created by mixing two other colors together, and every other color that exists are a combination of these three colors. So these colors allow us to manipulate them into other colors that exist. Our secondary colors are colors that we can create by mixing two primary colors. So these are purple, oranges, and greens. Secondary colors are actually very powerful in designing makeup looks. By mixing a primary color and a secondary color, we get a tertiary color. So these colors are the red oranges, yellow greens, blue violet, and the red violet. These are basically all the color combinations that we can find on our color wheel. And any tint, shade, or tone can be created by using any of these colors and mixing black, white, or gray. So we're going to be talking a little bit more about all of these color combinations now. Starting with the complementary colors. Complementary colors are colors that present themselves in the opposite spectrum of the color wheel. These complementary colors work beautifully together and also work to cancel each other out or to neutralize each other, for example. When you're doing a color correction and covering acne scars or under eye circles, you will be using complementary colors. Yellow and purple is a combination that we use when you have skin that looks a little bit dull, and we can add a tinge of purple to the skin, just to brighten the skin back to life. Red and green are a combination that's used to cover acne scar, redness on the skin, or any pimples as well, because the green cancels any redness on the skin. Now, complementary colors will also vibrate strongly when they place next to one another. In makeup, we don't use complementary colors only for color correction. We also use that when we're choosing our eyeshadows. So for example, blue eyes can be intensified using complementary colors. If I lay a blue eyeshadow next to a blue colored eye, they get completely lost into one another because they blend in too much. So to make a blue eye pop, we need to look at what color sits on the opposite side of the color wheel. So we're going to be looking at our copper colors, oranges, warm browns, and browns. These will instantly make any blue eye pop. But I personally find that burgundy also makes blue eyes pop. These colors will really make blue eyes stand out. Any complementary opposites bring out the eye color, so just remember to look at what color sits on the opposite side of the color spectrum. Now, if we look at green eyes, for example, green eyes is exactly the same thing. If we lay green eyeshadow next to it, it's just gonna seem very boring. They kind of disappear into that eye. So we need to look what sits on the opposite side of the color wheel. So we'll be looking at violets, coppers, burgundies. Any of these colors will make green eyes really stand out. And sometimes that's the thing, you don't need a super glam look, you just need to bounce the colors correctly, and you can create a really beautiful makeup look and framing the eyes just by selecting the right color that vibrates strongly when laying next to one another. You can make a beautiful makeup look, but just think about creating contrast. Now we're going to have a quick look at brown eyes. Brown eyes are actually really easy to work with because many colors look well on brown eyes. So don't be afraid to get creative. You can use any color, you can experiment, you can use blues, purples, greens, and any other shades that you like. For brown eyes, you really need to look at the skin complexion and the undertone of the brown eye as well, because that can actually make or break your look. Now, we can create shades, tints, and tones of a color by adding black, gray, and white to the base color. So here, for example, I have green as my base color. A shade is when we create a new color by adding black to the base color. So we're gonna darken the color, we're gonna give a lot of depth and dimension, and this creates a much deeper, richer color. Shades can be quite dramatic and then can be overpowering as well. Dark colors are going to recess something or make things look smaller or deeper. In makeup, we use shades to create contours on the face, lips, eyes, and just to create a little bit of dimension as well. Anything that we want to make it look smaller or make the face look skinnier, we will be using shades. Now I'm using red as my base color to create a tint. So a tint is created by adding white to the base color. So we're going to lighten the color. And this can make the color a little bit less intense. It is really useful when you're trying to balance a color that's too bright, or when you want to create makeup looks that are really colorful. A lighter color is always going to make things look bigger, or it's going to open something up. So we use lighter colors, let's say in makeup, when you're creating highlighters, or if you want to make the center of the lip look a little bit fuller, we can add a little bit of that tint just in the center. Now with the tone, I am using blue as my base color. So the tone is created by mixing gray. So I have here a combination of black and white, and that gives us gray. Tones are actually a very subtle version of the original color because it's less likely to look pastel, but it does have a bit of a complexity to it. And these are the basics of color theory in makeup. Let me know in the comments below if you like this video and if you want to learn anything else.